Good evening. I've come to discuss with you the relationship between science and faith, or rather, the people belonging to these groups. I recognize that some of you will find yourself in neither group. I want you to know that the fundamental message of my speech is simple. Be passionately humble and genuinely listen, a skill not reserved for scientists or people of any particular faith. I want to be clear with you tonight about my intentions and beliefs. Tonight, I intend to give you an opportunity to reflect on today's discussion without being influenced by my own biases. I believe this requires some upfront honesty about my beliefs. I'm a neuroscientist to be. It's not a matter of if, but when, and a firm believer in the Christian faith. Also, to continue in clarity, I want to define the terms we will be discussing tonight. The people of science we will talk about are not limited to those who study science, but anyone who believes in its findings. And the people of faith we will talk about include anybody who believes in a higher power, not specific to any religion. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to define for you what I believe it means to be passionately humble. Humility in this conversation is recognizing that you don't know everything. And to do that passionately requires you to take that same fire you feel for science or faith and apply that to genuinely listening to others. Humility is not passivity, but it does look like setting aside any preconceived notion and listening with the intent to understand. So, you and me, we may disagree, but I believe through humility and listening, we might come to understand each other. And after this, I encourage you to come up and talk to me. I am excited at the opportunity I might get to hear from you. So let's begin. Today's conversation is built on this foundational belief that our universe is orderly. This is the cornerstone of our conversation, so I'm going to define it and give you 2 examples of how you see it in your world already. I define an orderly universe as a universe formed with pattern and purpose, and therefore it can be understood. If I asked you, will the sky be blue tomorrow? You'd say, yeah. But why? Because it was blue yesterday? Perhaps you'll tell me about visible wavelengths. You see, I'm not asking you about what color the sky was yesterday, or even what makes the sky blue. I'm asking you to make a prediction about tomorrow based on your understanding of today. It's not really about the color of the sky at all. It's about your belief that what is true today will be true tomorrow. This is what I call a belief in an orderly universe. Now, some of you might be thinking, Emerson, the sky being blue is not enough evidence to say that our universe is orderly. To you, I say, let's discuss theoretical math. There is this inexplicable ability for math to model our world. Meaning, a mathematician wrote an equation about how something in our world might function, and through scientific experimentation, confirmed that math truly did explain that phenomenon. Einstein, huge fan. Me of him and him of theoretical math. Strengthened and confirmed these patterns that mathematicians recognized, that later scientists would go on to confirm. The world has a set order to it. That is what allows math to explain it, even when we don't understand it yet. The math is true, not because they wrote it, but because our world is orderly. Isaac Newton didn't invent gravity. He noticed it. Now, sorry for the tangent, pun intended. These mathematicians saw patterns, knew they had purpose, and believed they could one day be understood. So how does this apply to our conversation of science and faith? It is this foundational belief that unifies these 2 groups. It is only what they do with this belief that differs. Scientists, recognizing patterns, found an opportunity to study and learn more about our world. This becomes the foundation of research. You see, When you ask a question, you expect an answer. The same is true in basic research. You go out and you study something completely unknown about our world and find some new truth or answer. And these findings, when repeated many times by many people, become theories, like the theory of gravity. So when someone says to you, "I believe in science," this is what they're referring to. Big picture. For scientists, an orderly universe is a universe that can be known. Now, people of faith took the same foundational belief and saw a world created with intentionality. In this, that a higher being has a set order or design for the world, and therefore it has purpose. A world of purpose is not a collection of coincidences, but a finely tuned intention. And this is the critical part. These ideas can stand on their own, but they are missing the detail and direction the other provides. I believe if you combine these findings based on their foundational belief, something entirely new emerges. Understanding. Because knowing is not comprehending, and seeing purpose is not recognizing function. I believe that together, these two groups have the best frame of reference to understand and appreciate the world around them. And it is within this frame of reference that something else becomes clear. These two very individualistic groups have some core tenets in common, and they are to ask questions, be humble, and seek truth. To explain, asking questions is a foundational part of both faith and science. It is often said that questioning strengthens faith, and asking questions is a principal step in the scientific method. Both groups must ask questions from a place of humility, knowing only that they don't know everything. Or else, why ask questions at all? And most importantly, both groups intentionally seek truth, either empirical or meaningful. It seems so simple. An orderly universe, a unified people. So why doesn't our world feel this way? You see, there was a time in our history when science and faith worked in tandem. Most, if not all, scientists were men of faith. We called them natural philosophers, men like Galileo, Gregor Mendel, and Charles Darwin. So what went wrong? We became arrogant. Both science and faith believed that they alone could provide complete understanding of our natural world. Here's the important part. They're both still operating on this same foundational belief, but they no longer recognize each other as equals. Those scientists, they did not become faithless. They're operating on a faith in science. They get into a problem when they apply the scientific method to things that fall outside of the scope of science. And in the same vein, people of faith, not without a principal understanding of science, make the mistake of believing that everything about the mechanisms and functions of our natural world fall within whatever faith framework they believe in. To be succinct, faith and science cannot be a complete overlap. Science is the empirical study of a physical world and cannot sustain material, immaterial, or spiritual claims without extrapolation. And faith cannot understand the natural world by the belief in a metaphysically ordained universe alone. Neither one can absorb the other. Both are necessary in coming to understand and appreciate our world. So if we recognize this, what keeps us from reconciliation? Two things: a language barrier and forgetting our tenets. You see, as faith and science begin to develop separately, they form their own languages. Same words, different meanings. Here's the example. Scientist, define for me a culture, a radical, a mole. Tell me what it means to have a theory or just a belief. People of faith, talk to me. What does it mean to be saved? To take bread? To walk? What does it mean to have a theory or a belief? Now, if you were confused by any of the words I said for either group, you are not alone. That is exactly my point. It is hard to communicate when you say one word but mean two different. In my own experience, I've never found it easier to communicate with someone by speaking a different language. So define your terms. Clarity, my friend, is kind. Now, onto a second but graver issue. We've forgotten the core tenets that once united us, and they are to ask questions, be humble, and seek truth. You see, instead of seeking truth, we seek to be right. This takes us out of conversation and into persuasion. Instead of listening with the intent to understand, we listen to find a hole in their argument to exploit. Why? Just to prove ourselves right? Now, some of you might be thinking, Emerson, I have seen many debates and heard many podcasts. People of faith and science are in dialogue all the time. I want to be clear. We have stopped talking to each other as equals, not talking over or talking at. We're actually still really good at that. We refuse to see each other as anything more than opponents we don't respect enough to listen to. Why? Why not try to find something in their argument that is true, even if you still disagree? Fundamentally, I believe it's because we've forgotten our most important tenet, humility. The truth that we don't know everything is the very reason we ask questions at all. If we knew everything, why ask? And we don't. We don't ask people we disagree with questions, and I think you know why. Because we'd rather be right than really seek the truth. Because sometimes the truth is, you were wrong. Science and faith don't disagree. You do. Science and faith are simple. It's us who are difficult. I say this to you because I am you. And because I believe that there is a simple solution to our current problem. Be passionately humble and genuinely listen. Is that not what you've been doing this entire talk? You right now are living evidence that this solution can work. When you are humble enough to admit you don't know everything, that's the very place where you can begin to learn something entirely new, the truth. And it doesn't require your defense. It is not diminished by humility, but clarified through it. So as you leave here, go ask questions with a humble heart and open ears, and always, always seek the truth, and it'll set you free. Thank you.